Hi everybody, welcome back to Critical Mass. It's part 3 of our 3-part series on worst Halloween movies of all time. And I think I have a winner here. I think I gave Paul what I think is the worst horror movie of all time. Because it wasn't supposed to be funny. And it turns out to be one of the funniest movies I've ever watched in my life. So, I gave Paul M. Night Shyamalan. Shyamalan. I gave him The Happening with Mark Wahlberg. What did you think, Paul?
Okay, well, let's get this out of the way. I like Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, I love Mark Wahlberg.
I am infatuated with Mark Wahlberg.
I wouldn't go that far, but...
and Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of cute.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking, oh, wait, okay, so I got 2 actors that I'm okay with, and then I see that it's M. Night Shyamalan, and I know that he usually has good twists, right?
Well, no, he's had 2 good twists.
Okay, but
all of his other movies have sucked.
He's known for trying to do the twist.
Yes.
Okay, so I said, all right, I could get into this. Maybe Dawn is out to lunch. And you know what? It starts off. It's pretty neat. Like the main actors there, they hear that something's happening in the world because in the city people are just walking off to the top of buildings, or they're hanging themselves. It's like everybody stops and then they just kill themselves without any emotion. Like there's no distress, there's nothing. It's just and then 50 people walk up a thing and jump off and they're all dead. So they're thinking, oh my god, is this like a biochemical terrorist attack? So that's the theory. Now everybody starts evacuating the city. I'm thinking, I want to know what's going on. I know it's not going to be a terrorist attack, it's going to be something spooky. And then we find out that somebody has this idea that, hey, maybe the plants, because it's always happening in parks, the plants are making people do this because sometimes they could give off these little chemicals. Saying, okay, well, that's an interesting theory. And so they start evacuating the city, and they go to that town, and they go to that town because all the people are killing themselves in this giant geographical area, but it keeps on narrowing, and every place that they go, they still have to evacuate that place and keep on running from these epicenters. And then I realized that what seemed like a good movie was a piece of crap. Because
it took you that long.
Well, it seemed really interesting. I want to know why these people are killing themselves. And then, they trolled me with this problem relationship between Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel. It's like, she cheated on him. So he's going to be pretty upset for the whole movie. They're kind of not showing any emotion towards each other. But you know what she did? She had dessert with a work friend or something like that. Just dessert. And he gets upset at that. And to get back at her, he said, well, I went to the pharmacy and I asked the good-looking pharmacist for some cough medicine, and I didn't even have a cold. So there. That was a big point in the movie.
Horror movie. It's a horror movie.
Yeah. And it was funny. The way Mark Wahlberg delivered it, I laughed for 5 minutes.
The way Mark Wahlberg delivered everything in this movie. What? No!
And
that's literally an acting of Mark Wahlberg in this movie, and I like Mark Wahlberg.
He did, you can watch Mark Wahlberg and you can say, wow, he does that sincerity thing really well, And everything he said in this movie was super ultra sincere. Everything he said in this movie was super ultra sincere. People are dying, they're running away, there's big trouble. Oh, we're in trouble and we gotta stay ahead of things. And he says it really sincere, so you go, wow, he's really heartfelt. But it just doesn't fit. There's no panic.
At one point, they ran from the wind.
Well,
They ran from the wind.
the problem is that, okay, yeah, the wind is supposed to represent the plants giving off their danger chemical thing, but
where do you run? It's wind.
the problem is that they came up with the explanation that the plants are doing it at the beginning of the movie. So there's no twist.
That is a twist.
But the twist happened like 20 minutes into the movie.
You're waiting for the big extra twist at the end, and there is none. The twist is there is no twist.
No. I'm going to say some things that happen at the end because I don't want you to see this movie.
And you probably already have.
And it's been out since 2008. If you've seen it, I'm sorry. Don't go see it if you haven't.
Unless it's a drinking party. Unless it's a drinking party. So that would make a great drinking party. Every time there's something stupid in the movie happen, take a drink. You won't last 20 minutes.
Like, if you hate your nephew, make him watch it, okay? That's the only reason why this movie should be viewed. There comes a point at the end of the movie where Mark Wahlberg is in one house and his Zoe girlfriend is in the other house. And he says, well, this is it. You know, I'd rather be with you and die than die without you. And so he walks out into the space between the houses where he could die. But he didn't have to. Like, they were protected. They were inside the houses. They weren't going to die. They were okay. But they both walk out into danger because of love when they could have just waited.
It defies logic of how bad this movie was. There is an entire character in this movie whose only character trait is he likes hot dogs. He says, I like hot dogs, and talks about hot dogs 15 times in this movie. He's a main character in the movie.
He wasn't a main character.
Well,
He was a side character.
Of the group that's traveling together.
Yeah, but that was near the end. I was okay with him because he was a weirdo, but the best friend has a daughter, doesn't like Mark Wahlberg's girlfriend. There's some tension there, okay, and they go off. They're escaping the city together, and then, okay, so he has to go back to the city to save his wife, who's still back there. So he gives them his daughter so she could be safe. And then he goes back to the city, and we expect, he's going to go through these trials to save his wife. And no, he gets back there. As soon as he gets back there, he dies, and that's the end of his character. And it wasn't even that something interesting happened to him.
No, car accident.
Yeah, the guy who was driving the car drove into a tree, and he dies.
Yep. It must have been a windy day in the city that day. And then they start over again at the end, because maybe there'll be a part 2, because they're in Paris, and all you hear is on the la 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 la, Charlotte jumped the Alouette, and then you hear ah, and the person turns, and that's how they open the movie, with somebody screaming in the distance that you don't know what's happening. And you know what? You know who that person was? Every person in the audience watching this movie is the person that was screaming.
I renamed this movie The Crappening.
It is so bad, guys. But it's hilariously bad. If you go into this thinking, I want to watch this movie because it's so bad, you're right. It will be entertaining as all heck because it is that bad.
Let me throw you for a loop.
Okay?
Ebert gave it boom.
Yeah. I don't think Ebert saw the movie. I think some money must have been, because there's no one in their right mind who could watch this movie would say at any point, this is a well done movie.
Well, okay, so Ebert says, I really like this movie because, there's a pertinent message behind the plot. Like, overpopulation, destruction of the environment, and the plants are getting back at us. Population control. And that's why it was good. Doesn't matter that the movies suck. And
this is the problem with a lot of movies nowadays. They have a message, and because there's a message, everyone votes it up, or the critics vote it up, instead of saying, oh, by the way, yeah, the movie's not very good though, but it has a nice message. Critics suck.
So I would say that thumbs up for the first half hour of the movie. Introduction, he's a teacher, he's in class.
Mark Wahlberg's a teacher.
Pretty interesting. Oh, people start dying. Pretty interesting. They have to escape. Pretty interesting. And then
And then the other hour and a half comes into play.
And yeah, like no kidding. You're watching how many minutes are left because you're saying how much torture can I take?
Because don't forget, there's nothing scarier than a chase scene when you're running through a field from the wind. Whoa. Did I win? Did I give you one of the worst horror movies of all time?
Of all time? Well, it did have a good first half hour.
Come on, would you watch it again?
Well, wait. What was worse?
It was tricky.
What was worse? That movie or Friend Request?
Well, see, the Friend Request had hardly any money, any budget. It was just made. It was one of those cheesy, made for quick buck at Halloween movies. This was a big production movie with big stars.
True.
And it sucked. Ding, 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 ding. Just like everything we do here on the channel, I win again.
That's no fair when you conclude things like that.